right, everybody, what's going on? Good morning. It's Tuesday, about 11:15 Eastern, 8:15 PST. I'm on the West Coast. Jeff's on the East Coast.
What's up?
You
What's
are
up?
listening. What's up, man? You're listening to Peak Performance Hacks, where we talk about the strategy, the mindset, and marketing, and what you need to run a successful marketing, or really any business in general, right, Jeff? It's not just about marketing. We're both marketers, but this is really about the foundations of getting your vision and your goals and your business goals out there. So we're going to talk about a lot of different stuff, but first and foremost, I just want to introduce the leader and the brain behind Peak Performance Hackers, right, is Mr. Jeff. And Jeff, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do.
Yeah, well, thank you for that awesome introduction, Max. Yeah. And I guess when I think about Peak Performance Hackers is a community of entrepreneurs dedicated to scaling with the most disruptive technologies in the marketplace. My name is Jeffrey Daniel Phelan. I'm the founder and CEO, and we're all about leveling up your wealth, health, and relationships. And when I think about my origin story, it really goes back to my drive and hunger to be able to live a life on my own terms and pursue an extraordinary life of fulfillment. And Tony Robbins often talks about how fulfillment without or success without fulfillment is ultimate failure, or the ultimate failure. And to me, I have long always wanted to be able to have the freedom, the financial time freedom to be able to pursue my goals. And I'm an inventor. It kind of takes me back to the time in about 2009 when I met the individual who is credited with, producing Jimmy Fallon's first ever television show, which was a local sketch comedy in upstate New York. And this individual became really good friends of mine. He owned a large Chrysler car dealership, and I shared my story and passion about music, and he invited me to play my guitar one time at his estate, and he had a guest house on 150 acres with exotic animals and needed help with his an animal caretaker, and he offered to build me a recording studio at the guest house. And for about a year and a half, I had the opportunity to record music, and I never released anything. And that was one of the biggest regrets. I ended up taking a position with a Fortune top 30 corporation, which was Comcast, NBC, Universal. They had just purchased NBC, and I looked at it as a way to possibly get into the entertainment world. And at that time, Comcast I was in the Northeast Division call center taking inbound calls for businesses from Maine to North Carolina, providing their internet, phone, and cable services, where we were in a transitionary period from broadband or DSL to broadband internet. So the speeds were increasing, and I got to witness this transformation in technology over the years. And I was selected to go through a pilot program where they brought in McKinsey & Company for $7 million. And after going through that training, became a top sales rep at the company, and ended up moving down to Charleston, South Carolina, and gotten to outside sales. And
hold on. So are you from New York?
Originally upstate New York, yeah.
Upstate New York. Okay, yeah. So you're not like a local born and bred Southerner.
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I moved down to Charleston in 2014.
Gotcha.
And that's when I transitioned to outside sales. And actually in between that time, Don Metzner, who started Jimmy's career, that local sketch comedy became Jimmy's stepping stone to get to audition with Lorne Michaels for SNL.
Yep.
And in 2009, when I met Don, he and my brother had met him at a bar, and he walked in with a friend and wearing suits. And we're always about giving. I believe giving is the reason for living. And my brother offered to buy him and his friend a drink, and everybody, he was always used to everybody always, mooching off of him. And we instantly became friends and found out that he lived down the street from us. And that night he brought us down to, check out his property, and he offered to invite us to a small party that Jimmy was having to thank him for helping him in his career, because Jimmy had
wild.
Jimmy had just been promoted to the host of the late night show on NBC.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So that was kind of the start of it. And so today I have, built this agency where we've been able to scale companies. We've been able to help, like one of our clients was able to raise $3 million in venture capital by using our organic AI mass distribution system to book a steady flow of meetings with VCs, and including, he landed over, about 190 appointments with, including two of the largest VC firms on the planet, and raised $3 million in VC capital before he even had a product. And it was a software product in the crypto Web3 space that, became a success. Using our system, we drove over 400,000 users to their platform, that for users who have downloaded their browser extension, and they built the whole software using the $3 million they acquired in that seed round, and then use that money to build out their whole system, and that led to $20 million valuation for the company. So that's one of many success stories that we've had by leveraging AI. And those are the type of things that I'm excited to share with people, and really help people to understand and not be afraid of the technology, but leverage it for achieving your dreams and freedom. And that's what we're building here is really the band of peak performance hackers, who are focused on leveling up every area of your life.
Yeah, I love that because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So business, life, relationships, it's all kind of inclusive. And I mean, I think one of the main, I'm Max Bergstrom. I've been marketing for about 15 years now. I've had the high level director positions, the corporate positions, and a few years ago I decided I was pretty much unemployable. You get to a point where you're almost unemployable, and then you're just like, okay, what do I do? So I went all in, and I started working with you 2 years. It's got to be about 2 years ago now. And I'm a part of Peak Performance Hackers, obviously, and I've definitely seen the value. But a lot of the stuff you talk about, which is kind of how we've themed this show, is kind of how founders can achieve peak performance, how they can grow faster, how they can build sustainably by aligning your strategy and your mindset with your energy, and instead of the brute force of everything. We hear a lot about hustle culture today. And I think there's some good elements of hustle culture, but hustle culture is pounding your head against bricks until they crack. Flow state to me is more like finding a tool to cut the bricks out delicately and remove them. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that makes sense, but I think everyone talks about scaling, right? Everybody's scale, but nobody talks too much about staying sane while they're doing it. Right. And the fact that, it's so much more than just following specific steps. So much more go into that to get, the true high performance. And so when you talk about flow state, Jeff, what does flow state mean to you? Because you talk about this all the time.
I know I'm absolutely obsessed with flow state. I think it's the most amazing thing. And the best way I can explain it is flow state is that time when you feel your best and perform your best, where every idea, thought, action flows perfectly seamlessly, from one thought to the next, or one action to the next. And it's a time that's universal. They've done studies. The godfather of flow, who is Csikszentmihalyi,
Positive psychologist.
He did the largest study on flow state worldwide and in the 70s. And he basically gave all these people around the world a device to track how, their feelings and answer questions when the beeper would go off. And what he found was that it was a study on happiness. And what he found was that no matter where you live in the world, like what culture you were raised in, we all have the ability to tap into flow. And with modern neuroscience, we've actually been able to identify flow state as it's a time when there's all 5 of the most pleasurable neurochemicals are released at the same time: dopamine, norepinephrine, anandamide, serotonin, and endorphins. And there's no other time known to science when that occurs except during flow. And the reason all of those pleasurable chemicals are released at the same time is there's a energy efficiency exchange in the brain happening where the prefrontal lobe shuts down or slows down, and it allows your brain to lock in on the task at hand, and time melts away. It's either slows down or speeds up. And they've done studies. McKinsey and Company has done studies on executives in a flow state are 700% more productive than in a normal steady state. The U.S. military, Navy have done, programs where they have this device. It's a transcranial magnetism is what it's called. They put it over your prefrontal lobe to slow it down. That this instantly, puts radar operators and snipers into a flow state. And it's a pretty incredible thing. And there's multiple aspects of best practices for how to get into a flow and facilitate it. And the Flow Research Collective, Stephen Kotler, who's a New York Times bestselling author, he talks a lot about how flow, it can be found in group settings. If you look at the New England Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons, that Super Bowl where the Patriots are coming down 28-3 in the second half was a perfect example of group flow. Patriots. And so yeah, it's one of those topics that is extremely fascinating to me, and I'm always, excited to talk about how it can be applied to modern business and how we operate and level up. Like your company, Level Next Consulting, is you're incredible at what you do, and we want to build that community of people who are entrepreneurs and set on living that lifestyle of freedom. So that's what we build. We build funnels that build freedom, and let's make yours next.
Yeah, for sure, man. And so I love that, and I resonate with all of that. And I'm actually a psychology major. I went to school. I was going to become a therapist. That's what I was going to do. I was going to be either an alcohol drug counselor, because we both know, and everybody close to me knows, that for years I had a problem with drug abuse and chronic alcoholism, which I've been sober for almost 13 years now, by the grace of God. So that's really, that's a positive thing in my life. You can't be in flow state if you're operating at a blood alcohol level of 0.42. Okay. It just doesn't work. But the thing is, I think, like as a musician myself too, flow state, like when I'm on stage and performing music, something happens where I'm not really thinking about what I'm doing, and it's just flowing through me. Right. Mm-hmm. Or if I'm working on a project for a client, that's where I feel like when the difficulty of the project and my skill level match perfectly, that's like a really good way to get into flow, because you don't have the pressure of not understanding something, but you're also not bored because it's monotonous or too easy, right? So the idea is like to keep leveling up your skill level, so your flow states become greater and greater. But let's apply this to business. So what give me a time, Jeff, when your agency or business felt like in flow, because this happens to us, right? Like there's times where for months things aren't going right. I'm angry, I'm resentful, I'm losing clients, I'm X, Y, and Z. And then there's times where and usually it always starts within me, right? I always like when I start thinking about things differently, it just sets off a chain, right? Where like doors open that you wouldn't think normally would, or just
Yes.
connections are made, or somebody reaches out from your past and it's an opportunity, right? So give me a couple times, what did that feel like, and how was that?
Yeah. So where my mind goes is like the day after launching a campaign, or really, when you put in all this time and effort into, building out a campaign that has the right hook, the right story, and the right offer, and how you position that offer. And then when you put in all the hard work and you build the funnel and the landing page, and then you launch your sequences out to your audience after, you build your audience of high intent, like, hyper targeted buyers who are already interested for your product or service. And then you hit go and you launch. And then over the next 24 hours, your calendar fills up, and you're seeing 33 appointments, fill up your team's calendar. It's almost like then you start to get in flow with those meetings and meeting people and going through your process and the repetition of it. It's like building muscle memory, and kind of enables you to really just get into the perfect flow.
Yeah, perfect flow, perfect mindset. Absolutely. So, and I agree with you. I think like there's that excitement, like when you first launch a new campaign, right? And like when you're logging in to see what the results have been, you kind of get a little bit of nervousness, but it's like nervous and excited, right? Like at the same time. So yeah, absolutely. And I think, like high performers don't chase after flow. You have to kind of like build the conditions for it, right? Like yeah, exactly. You got to build the routine. And I think, with music and with marketing, why it probably works for you and I is because we've spent, there's a book called Mastery. I believe it's by George Leonard, and he talks about the 10,000 hours rule. You know what I mean? Like if you've done something for 10,000 hours, you're pretty much a master at it. And so, for me, writing songs, performing, playing, like I've been doing that since I was 8, and I'm 40 now. So that is something where I really, I don't have to think about it when I do it. I can just step on stage and you're just in it, right? And same thing with business. You grow, you continue to get, you get better and better and better at what you're doing. Your systems are better. Your synergy with people you work with is better. The tools get better. You level up your skills. And when you do all of that and you nurture your mindset as well, like I feel like all of that coming together, is definitely like the key. And if we were going to build like real world scale. Oh yeah, go ahead.
So the energy definitely, like, I think one of the things that really stood out to me about you in particular when we first met was I pick up on people's energy, and I am the same way. And I actually, funny enough, I wrote my first song when I was 8 years old, and I self-taught myself guitar when I was 12, and keyboard as well. Like I've never taken a single guitar lesson, ukulele, or keyboard lesson. And, I write a lot of my own music that's still unpublished, which I am getting there. But, it's the energy. I could instantly pick up on your energy that you were like a flow hacker innately, because you had just this, aura about you in terms of, I can't explain it, but it was like, I think it's something when you meet someone else that, has similar life experiences and, can relate from a perspective of flow.
Yeah.
It's something that you wouldn't normally notice, but when you're aware of flow state, you start to pick up on other people's energy like never before.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I felt the same way about you. And I just kind of knew, like, whatever this guy is doing, I want to be affiliated with it somehow. I don't know what that looks like right now, but, I definitely want to figure out what the deal is. And you built a community out of people like this. And, we all know that community is, I mean, that's everything, right? I mean, building a network, having a community of people. I always say, like, if a client asks me, hey, I need this done, do you know how to do it? If I don't, I'll say, you know what? I don't, but I guarantee you somebody in my network does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
what do you got? Because I got a person for that. Like I have, what we're going to get this done.
Which reminds me too, we should consider bringing some of our other peak performance hackers in, on for future episodes, like Martin Patella. He's
100%.
Life enthusiast. He manufactures 600 superfoods and, holistic, solutions that fight degenerative chronic health issues. I mean, we have some incredible people in the community, and yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, and we absolutely will be doing that, as well as a slew of other people that are kind of on the same trajectory as we are. And I love that you bring up Csikszentmihalyi and the positive psychology and all of that, because it's all related. This isn't like woo woo hippie stuff, like this is real science-based stuff now. So absolutely. And I had a former boss, actually. His name is Casey LeBlanc. He is the president of a company called New Venture Escrow, and I became the marketing director there. And he always used to talk about how important energy was. And like, I didn't understand it at the time, because business and energy at that point didn't really connect for me. It's like, well, what does it matter if you feel like shit? You can still do your work. You just might not feel very good while you're doing it. But he would always talk about he'd say, energy is my currency. Like, that's my currency. And so he used it like capital, right? So physical, mental, emotional energy, that compounds, and you can use it like cash flow, right? But if you don't have any, if you're burned out, if you're angry, if you're resentful, if you're, just largely in a bad mood, that's going to come out in your energy, whether you want it to or not, right? And then what happens to your business? What happens when you have a conversation with a client? Like, if you and I, Jeff, are having a bad day and we get on a call, we might leave the conversation feel like, well, crap, like, what's his deal? You know what I mean? Like, he must be going through some stuff, because, you can just tell. So, I think, you have to audit your energy, not just the tasks that you're doing for the day, right? And really nurture that instead of just hammering a to-do list, regardless of how you feel.
Some other really interesting things about flow state is that they found that you get endless energy when you're in a flow state. So, but it's also very taxing on the brain. So they found that you need to make sure you go through the full flow cycle, which involves rest and relaxation, after, you get into real deep flow sessions. And I had another thought, but it escaped me. So I'll have to come back to that.
All good, man. All good. So here, I know we're talking about flow. I want to make sure that, the folks who might not be as up to speed on flow state and what that is. I want to let you guys know that what we are going to eventually talk about, like, a specific roadmap on how to do this. So we're not just dropping all of this, data and talk about it, because I do want to help people, with how I've achieved flow. And we talked a little bit about it, but I also want to make sure that we talk about business and how to optimize that and using flow for that. So basically, Jeff, you've created an amazing marketing system, leveraging AI. It's called the Omni Growth Codex. I've used it with success. So have multiple other people. I would bet you were in a state of flow when you came up with that, created that, and you've been able to build on that. So what I want to know is, like, in business right now, what's working for client retention, for new systems, for funnels, marketing, offers? Like, what have you seen that's working, And what have you seen that has not worked as well? And maybe a couple lessons that you've learned from, being down in the trenches when you've been in a good state of flow, and also when you had no flow at all and you had to just white knuckle it.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, right? Because when you think about the word flow, you think of the flow of water and like faucets turning on and turning it off, right? And that's kind of what OGC or Omni Growth Codex is. It's like a faucet where you can dial it up or dial it down at any time. It's infinitely scalable because we essentially leverage our partnerships in the IT space. So going back to where my career started with, Comcast Business, I essentially learned the telecom space and got access when I first left Comcast in 2019 to the entire ecosystem of leading, IT and technology providers in the marketplace. AT&T, Spectrum, T-Mobile, Verizon, Comcast, you name it. Over 450 providers in our portfolio, data centers, 5G providers, and using those relationships from our connections in that space, we were able to build these enterprise servers that have pristine reputation and enable us to essentially bypass the normal warm-up period that we would have because we have pristine servers that are, managed at the enterprise level. So, kind of piecing all those things together with the AI innovations in the what I call the AI sequencer, which is basically your distribution and how you get your messages out. Tying that with other aspects. It's kind of like what we did was piece together multiple tools and things to get an end result. Right? People are interested in the end result, and like all marketing is really grabbing attention and hooking, telling a compelling story, and then delivering an offer that's ideally irresistible, that is speaking to your exact audience of people who are already searching for what you have. Because the technology is now there where, we built this AI system, leveraging like 10 different databases, including one that is the most incredible I've ever seen or used in my entire career. And it enables us to really hone in on the people who are already searching and are verified in market for a product or service.
Yeah.
So our conversion rates are higher, and it just works like clockwork. I don't know if that makes sense.
I mean, that's a great explanation. I think that, when you first were talking to me about it, I kind of had to try to explain it to myself in layman's terms. Since you have an IT background and I don't, some of the technical aspects of it kind of went over my head. But, really, really trying to dive into it. When you market to mass amounts of people, if you have a specific ideal customer profile, you want to reach them and you've got a list. If you start blasting emails out and your domain doesn't have a good reputation, then you're going to land in spam folders. So essentially, email warm up is leveraging tools to warm up that domain to build its reputation. So when we send emails to people, they land in the inbox. And OGC has domains and servers that have a 100% green light reputation. So that's one part of the system, right? The other part, or another part of it, which is OGC to me is a set of tools that come together to make a machine that delivers a seamless marketing experience, right? And so the domains and that reputation, that's one part of it. Another part is the copy, right? So when I came to you and I'm like, hey, this is what I do, here's my business, you've got these copywriters that are world class with, hundreds of millions of dollars behind what they've done in the past. And they take copy, they know what works because they're tried and true, tested. And so they form your offer, right, into that compelling offer that has a story. And so the copy is another part of it. And then the scalability of the emails that can be sent out because of the servers that allow, 99 domains. It's the ability to send out not, like you can only send 1,000 emails today before you're capped and then you have to wait. No, like you can send out 10,000 emails every day. And so, there's the scalability there. And then maybe
you send 100,000.
Okay. Yep, exactly.
How would that change your business if you could reach everyone in your entire target audience on autopilot every single day?
Exactly. And I think that, if I were a really savvy marketer with all those three components, I'd be like, okay, man, sure. That's all well and good. But how do I know that you're actually reaching my ideal customer, where they are? And you would say, well, you'll know that, Max, because we leverage data and we have an AI system that we've created that can scrape billions of URLs every single day to analyze user behavior, consumer behavior, and then we lead score them. We know who's looking for your services or who's more likely to be looking for your services before you even reach out to them, right?
Yeah.
So like those four things together just create an absolute powerhouse.
And it should be noted, obviously, about the regulations. And you've got B2B, which is completely legal in the United States. You can send a commercial email to work email addresses. But when it comes to direct to consumer, our AI system for the data allows us to put ads in front of your exact audience who's already in market, who's verified in the top 10% of that buyer pyramid, to either be buying today, because it doesn't matter what market you're in, you're 3% of your market's buying today. This is based on decades of research. Chet Holmes International, has shown this, and he would do it at seminars. He would ask people, how many people are in the market to buy a home? About 3% raise their hand. How many people are going to buy a car? About 3%. How many people are going to buy a home or plan to in the next 3 months? And additional 6 to 7% of hands go up, which are the people who are ready and open to buy. So in that buyer pyramid is super important to understand, because at any time, about 10% of your market is either buying today or ready and open to buy. So that's where the innovations in AI behavioral science have come in to really impact, digital marketing and direct marketing that costs 1/10, to send an email is free. And to run an ad where, regardless if you have a good day or bad day, you're still paying, you're going to get ROI all day on that free email.
Exactly. And, when we started the conversation, you talk about the results, right? And what does that mean for the business owner's life? And how does that match up with energy and flow and what we're talking about? And if I had to put my finger on that what OGC and what PPH does is, since you are now able to automate and scale your marketing systems on autopilot, then that takes away the manual hustle work that you would normally have to do. And then you can use that energy that you're saving to work on your business, spend time with your family, nurture yourself, grow your business in other areas, right? You're taking the energy of a manual worker, which is now obsolete. You don't have to do that anymore, right? And you can put that towards, your passion. And if business is your passion, great. Then what's the next chapter? You don't have to worry about marketing and sales anymore. What's next, right? So it builds space for you to build the life that you actually want. Freedom, scalability, right?
Mm-hmm. And it goes back to flow. Like, if I think about what the system does, both from the behavioral data and the distribution side, because there's really two engines in OGC. There's the data engine and then the activation or the smart buyer distribution system, which you talked about with the email server reputation and that stuff. Is it creates a endless flow of opportunities and leads, engagement, getting in front of your audience in a predictable, scalable way. that is scalable, because now once you start building some momentum on the email channel, now you add the other channels to truly build an omnipresence, which Grant Cardone talks a lot about, the need to be omnipresent today. If you want to win or stand out, like, you really need to be all.
You got to be everywhere, man.
Everywhere. Yep, absolutely.
Yep. And that's why, like, with you and I, like, the partnership works well, I think, because you are more on the, like, sales direct, like, what's the quickest line to get in front of the right person at the right time who needs a product. And that's what every business owner anywhere wants. They want leads, they want success, they want conversions. Whereas my background is more in, how do I brand and create content that supports my business and what my ICP wants, and get it out in front of the right people on all the other channels, right? Mm-hmm. The social medias, the podcasts like this. And, so together we have, like, the full system.
Yeah.
The full package. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, man, like, when I first met you, I'm like, this guy, like, he's doing all the stuff that I haven't been able to do. I have not had success with email marketing. I have not had success with, pitching somebody a product and having them just be like, oh my God, wow, I got to work with this guy. I didn't know anything about servers and how domains work, like that stuff. I was like, my passion and fire is, like, building a brand that's, interesting, unique, and helps people. And how do I create content that they want to consume and get that out there and help other people do that? So, but you need both parts of those today, because if you think about it, like, if you're not everywhere, your competition's going to be. If you're not doing it, somebody else is going to do it, right? Definitely. So, yeah, I love it, man. I love it. Well, look, man, this has been an amazing jump off conversation and a great pilot episode. And, just to recap kind of what we've been talking about, we're talking about flow, and that's really, I think, your leverage in life, and definitely in business, and, and continuing to get to the next level. But you need the system in place to scale it, right? Because the stuff that you don't want to actually do, if you want to conserve that energy and use it for other things, then you need a system to do that, which is kind of what peak performance, that's what we're all about here, really. 100%. And then your energy, right? Your energy is your performance multiplier. And so this is, like, I promise anybody who's listening, this isn't all going to be about flow and psychology, but it's a big part of it, because this is kind of the stuff that I didn't understand when I got into business. I was like, okay, cool. Like, all I got to do is do what this person did, and, everything should be roses. But it doesn't quite work like that if you want to, really scale up. But we are going to also talk about funnels, offers, how to build systems, how to get, like, we're going to do the practical stuff as well, because I know that, people want to hear about that. But really, what do you want people who listen to the podcast or watch the show to get out of this before we close out?
I want people to understand that your dreams, that you have set limits on yourself to achieve, are 1,000% possible with the right proven systems. And you're just, Russell Brunson talks about how we're all just one funnel away, and one funnel could change your life. And right now I'm super excited to launch and kick off our 10K a month funnel fast track cohort, which is a program where we're essentially providing a funnel. Like, what if we handed you a funnel that's already generating $10,000 a month in revenue? How would that change your life? Like, it already exists. There's already over 2,002 Comma Club award-winning funnel builders out there, and those funnels exist. And there's a science to funnel hacking, and building an irresistible offer, that gets someone to say, wow, I would be an idiot not to do this, because it's so good, because it's that thing you gotta have when, if you, the right person who needs or has the problem that you solve, when they see that and say, wow, I gotta have that, that's how you know you've won with your offer. And there's a science to that, and that's what, you know, we're doing for people. And I want everyone to understand that it is possible to become your own boss, to own your time freedom in this day and age more than ever before. Thanks to AI. And it's just a matter of finding the right guides to help you on that journey.
Yeah, dude. And speaking of which, every time when I'm having a rough day, and if I talk to you and you're like, hey, man, opportunities are all around. You always say opportunities are everywhere. You just got to find them. You just got to look. And sometimes I'm like, damn, dude, this guy is like always with the positivity. Like, what is going on? But you need people like that. I need people like that in my life. So I love that. And basically, if I understand what you're saying, is that PPH now offers proven funnels that we know work because there's data behind them. We can guarantee that they're going to work for people. You join and, we give you the rundown, and whatever your business is, whatever you're doing, we help you with the flow, we help you with the systems, and we've got the funnels that are proven to work. So we're able to put this in place. So, hey, not to give a shameless plug, but I mean, just join us, join PPH, and we can get you set up and help with everything. But we're going to be giving away a lot of strategy in this show as well, because like you said, Jeff, it's about serving others and helping people. So, hey, if you don't want to work with us, or if you don't have the budget, like, that's fine. Like, we'll tell you how to do it. The value of Peak Performance Hackers is you get the community, you get the proven systems, and you get it built for you, right? Mm-hmm. So then you use that energy that you would be using to manually build all this stuff for something else. So,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Right on. Well, look, we're going to be doing this every week. You guys, you can find us on Instagram, peak.performance.hackers. We're on YouTube, Peak Performance-Hackers. I will make sure to drop all of those links. Facebook as well. LinkedIn. We're on all of the major social media channels. We're going to be streaming this live moving forward. And really, I just encourage people, check out the show, subscribe to us on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We're going to be sending this out, and we're going to have, we're going to build community around who we are, what we're doing. And we want to get everybody feeling good, getting in flow, and to the next level of their businesses.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's grow. Yeah, baby.
All right, Jeff, I'll talk to you soon. Everybody else, we'll see you next week. And I hope you guys get out there, and one challenge is, think this. What would your business look like if you only operated from flow and not force? And then next week, we'll talk about that a little bit. But until then, I'll see you later, buddy. Everybody have a great week.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Max.
Yep. See ya.